In early October 2025, the Australian government officially signed a major defense agreement with the United States to acquire 48 additional M142 HIMARS rocket launcher systems. With this purchase, Australia's total inventory will rise to 90 units, making it one of the largest HIMARS operators in the world outside the United States. According to Airspace Review and Defense News, the deal, worth approximately $705 million, includes the launchers, resupply vehicles, trailers, communication equipment, and a comprehensive package of training and logistical support. The acquisition is part of a Foreign Military Sales (FMS) program approved by the U.S. State Department. For Australia, this is far more than a simple arms purchase. It is a strategic adjustment to the shifting balance of power in the Indo-Pacific. Over the past few years, the region has become the central stage of great power rivalry between the United States and China. And amid that contest, one neighboring country has quietly drawn Canberra's attention: Indonesia. Although relations between Indonesia and Australia remain stable and friendly, defense planners in Canberra understand that Indonesia is now on a trajectory of rapid military modernization, one of the most significant in its modern history. With a growing economy and ambitions to become a global maritime power, Indonesia is gradually transforming into a regional force that will, sooner or later, need to be taken seriously. That is why many analysts believe Australia's decision to expand its long-range strike capability with HIMARS is not only about deterring threats from China, but also about anticipating future shifts in the regional balance of power, particularly in Southeast Asia's southern flank, where Indonesia sits. Canberra knows that Indonesia is not a threat today, but in military planning, nations think decades ahead. Strategies are built not for the present, but for what may emerge in 10 or 20 years. And in that long-term calculus, Indonesia's steady rise as a regional power is impossible to ignore. According to Defense News, the HIMARS program is part of Australia's Land 8113 Phase 2 project, which focuses on developing long-range precision strike capabilities. The system will allow the Australian Army to engage both land and maritime targets from hundreds of kilometers away, without relying on warships or fighter jets. Geographically, this makes perfect sense. Northern Australia borders some of the most critical maritime corridors in the world, including the Arafura and Timor Seas. With HIMARS, Canberra can defend its northern approaches and extend its deterrence perimeter long before any potential adversary reaches its coastline. The M142 High Mobility Artillery Rocket System, HIMARS, has already proven its effectiveness in modern warfare. Mounted on a 6x6 tactical truck, it can fire 6 rockets or a single missile in seconds. HIMARS can deploy a variety of munitions: GMLRS, Guided Multiple Launch Rocket System, with a range of 70 to 90 kilometers, ATACMS, Army Tactical Missile Systems with ranges up to 300 kilometers, and the Future Precision Strike Missile, PSRM, with a projected range beyond 500 kilometers. Equipped with GPS-guided navigation, modern electronic controls, and full integration into digital command networks, HIMARS is not merely artillery. It is a precision strike platform. As Jane's Defense Weekly notes, its true advantage lies not in brute force, but in mobility and survivability. HIMARS can be deployed, fired, and relocated before the enemy can track its position, giving it a lethal edge in fast-moving, high-tech conflicts. For Australia, operating 90 HIMARS launchers dramatically expands its regional deterrence power. In any defense scenario, these systems provide long-range firepower from land to sea or island-based targets. Combined with U.S. satellite and intelligence support, Australian HIMARS units could form a key component of the broader Indo-Pacific defense network. But this decision also carries complex geopolitical implications. Neighboring countries are watching closely, especially Indonesia. Over the past decade, Indonesia has undertaken a massive military modernization effort. The purchase of 42 Rafale multi-role fighters from France,
a plan for 24 F-15EX Eagle II fighters from the United States, ongoing development of RHAN 450 and RHAN 600 cruise missiles, and rapid expansion of domestic defense industries through Pindad, PAL, and LEN. Within the next 10 years, Indonesia is expected to field an air and missile force comparable to mid-tier developed powers. For Canberra, this is not a threat, but a reality that must be factored into regional calculations. HIMARS gives Australia an edge in long-range precision fire, allowing it to maintain strategic depth and deterrence even as its northern neighbor rises as a new military power. The move also sends a clear political message. Australia wants to demonstrate to Washington and NATO allies alike that it is ready to take greater responsibility for security in the southern Indo-Pacific. With long-range precision strike capabilities, Canberra can play a more active role in regional defense scenarios without relying solely on the permanent presence of U.S. forces on its soil. However, this buildup may accelerate an arms race in the region. Southeast Asian nations could respond by strengthening their own defense capabilities to offset Australia's growing strike reach. China, of course, views this as another layer in Washington's Ring of Fire strategy across the Pacific. Beijing is likely to counter by expanding naval patrols, deploying more submarines, and deepening security cooperation with countries such as Pakistan or even Papua New Guinea. Meanwhile, Russia, though geographically distant, will interpret this as part of the West's global containment strategy. For Moscow, Australia has now become a vital southern link in the broader Western military chain. Still, Australia's decision is not without challenges. Operating HIMARS at this scale requires vast logistics, intensive training, and significant operational costs. And without a robust intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance network, especially maritime sensors, the full potential of HIMARS, especially its anti-ship role, will remain limited. Canberra must integrate these systems with maritime patrol aircraft, satellites, and modern battlefield communication networks to achieve true long-range strike effectiveness. If it succeeds, however, Australia will possess one of the most formidable precision strike capabilities in the Southern Hemisphere. 90 HIMARS units would reshape strategic calculations not only in the Pacific, but across all of Southeast Asia. From a bilateral standpoint, Indonesia and Australia will likely maintain their delicate balance between cooperation and caution. Both nations share common interests in maintaining regional stability, whether against terrorism, piracy, or foreign interference. Yet, beneath the surface of diplomacy, both militaries are evolving quietly but deliberately, aware that regional power dynamics can shift rapidly. Australia does not view Indonesia as an adversary, but with the Indonesian armed forces advancing at a remarkable pace, Canberra cannot afford complacency. Maintaining a qualitative edge through systems like HIMARS ensures that Australia remains strategically relevant as power in the north continues to grow. In conclusion, Australia's acquisition of 48 additional HIMARS units is not just a technical upgrade, it is a geopolitical statement. Canberra is signaling that it intends to remain a major security player in the Indo-Pacific amid the twin rise of China and Indonesia. The question that follows is critical. Will this step create a more stable balance of power or quietly ignite a new phase of military competition among Pacific neighbors? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Is Australia's rearmament a realistic move for regional deterrence or an early sign that the Indo-Pacific is entering a new era of silent rivalry? And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next deep dive into the shifting landscape of global defense and geopolitics.